Lode with the Investing News Network, and here today with me is David Morgan, publisher of the Morgan Report. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Great. So we're here at PDAC. It's the first day of the convention. It's actually quite early, but have you had a chance to get a sense of the atmosphere yet?
You know, it's interesting, absolutely. Walking in from, I'm here almost every year, felt about normal, but when I got to the area to get my badge, it was incredibly crowded and extremely noisy. I would say based on that, and I think it's a good marker that things are picking up in the sector, even though we know the prices have been down and it's been kind of a washed out sector for a while. I would say based on the enthusiasm, it's going to be not only a good show, but I think that's an indicator things are doing better.
Okay. We spoke last at VRIC and you said you see gold and silver prices going moderately higher this year. We've had a couple of new factors, I think, be introduced since then. We've got a new Fed chair. We had a U.S. stock market sell-off in February. Are you still feeling the same way?
I am. I think the ability for gold, gold did a modest increase in 2017. Silver was pretty flat. I think this year silver will outperform gold. I could see a 30% increase in the price of silver from the bottom, and maybe something similar in gold for last year, 10 to 20%. So those are modest numbers relative to what gold can do. But if you compound your money at 20%, you're going to make a fortune over a few years, really. So I think that's the type of environment that we're in right now, barring any unforeseen, hate to say it, war scenario or geopolitical upheaval.
Okay. What's your advice for investors in this type of scenario? Should they be buying physical precious metals? What should they be doing?
Well, if you don't have any physical, I'd say yes, especially now because gold and silver are both near the cost of production for most of your majors. Because I believe all along, unless you own metal, you really don't have a metal portfolio. Having said that, the most leverage is in the mining sector, and the miners are undervalued relative to the metal itself. So if you already have exposure to the physical, the best bang for the buck is no doubt in well-chosen, well-selected mining companies.
Okay. In the very long term, I want to ask kind of where you see potential for gold and silver to go. Not this year, but just very long term. What's the upside there?
Well, if you look at some of the, let's say, more establishment types that are, giving interviews like this, you'll look at people like Jim Rickards, for example.
Yes.
Jim's got a huge following, and he's talking about $10,000 gold. You've got Mike Maloney's probably not as well. It is an establishment. Let me move back to Rickards, David Harquell. You've got Nick Barisheff. You've got several people that are in the industry, and these people are talking about $5,000 gold, perhaps $10,000 gold. So it's very difficult in a system that's based on debt where you can create money basically out of nothing to put a paper price on it. But I think looking at the gold situation and the increase in the money supply, from what we saw in 2000, we've had basically a fourfold increase in the money supply. So if you took all the gold and divided it into the amount of dollars in 2000, you'd come out with $2,500 an ounce gold. If we've increased the money supply from 2000 to 2018, you take that number and multiply it by 4, which will give you 10,000. So I don't think it's really out of the question.
Okay. All right, thanks for explaining that. I want to switch gears a little bit. From what I understand, you recently announced your involvement in a project called Lode. It's a cryptographic silver monetary system. Can you explain to me what that means in layman's terms?
Yeah, cryptographic silver monetary system just means that it's a way to trade silver on the blockchain, and that's basically, it's that simple. And it's there's others out there. There's some gold-backed cryptocurrencies. There's another few silver-backed cryptocurrencies. I was intrigued by this one because I was introduced to it some time ago, and I've really done some due diligence, and I like the way it's set up.
Okay. Can you talk a little more about how you got involved with it and kind of how long you've been looking at this?
Sure. I was introduced to it at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference in 2017 after the show. It was one of those kind of exhausted, kind of nice places to be. Show's over. And David Smith that works with me said, hey, there's this idea that these guys have. I knew one of them principally from some other mining events way back, but everyone else was new to me. So they proposed the idea. We had like an hour and a half long meeting. And that was just the start of investigating it. And I came up to Vancouver and went through the whole details a few times and decided to go ahead and help to get the word out on this cryptographic, remonetizing silver basically.
Okay. How can we learn more about it? Where should we go to find out?
The easiest way to get more information is go to, I think it was https://ag.lode.1. So it's ag.lode.1, and you'll be able to get sign up for no obligation, like their newsletter. And then there are commitments you can make. You can commit silver at A level and be one of the founding members, which offers the opportunity to reap rewards in silver itself. So I'll leave that to the discretion of the people that investigate this further.
Okay, one last question about Lode. Part of the appeal is that it could represent a way for silver to return to the monetary system. Can you just explain why that's appealing to you?
Yeah, wow. Well, here goes an hour-long speech.
The condensed version.
Basically, silver is basically the money of the people. I mean, the monetary history, if you really look at it objectively, silver is the money of all time. Gold certainly is money, but silver's been used in more transactions, more times than gold ever has. So the appeal about silver is that it's not top-down controlled like gold. In other words, central banks still own about 50% of all the gold in the world, whereas the central banks effectively own no silver whatsoever. Which means if it was remonetized, the power of money would be in the hands of the people again. So imagine a system that allows you to trade silver physically with the blockchain, with your phone peer-to-peer. Let's say some mining companies get involved. Let's say some bullion dealers get involved. So if this thing grows to the proportion that it has the potential to do, imagine that people actually determine what the price is rather than some algorithm. I mean, that's, to me, a very exciting proposition.
Okay, thanks so much for joining me today. That's all from me. Once again, I'm Charlotte McLeod with the Investing News Network, and this is David Morgan.